Good morning, everyone. It's Brenda Quintana here, and I'm live from the Beehive this morning. Today is Casing Tuesday, and that is the day when we take a sample out of the annual catalog or whatever catalog is current, and we give it a makeover. So some people like to take the card and recreate it exactly, and some people like to take the card and change a few things about it, and some people like to take the card, like myself, and change it completely. That's normally what I do because I like the challenge of using the template, a card as a template, and doing different things with it. It just shows you the versatility of starting with a layout and taking it and using different stamp sets with it. I think it's great that we have a catalog that has samples in it, so it shows us things that we can do with the stuff that we're buying right away. It's great that we have the internet now, that we have like lots of other samples out there on Pinterest and everywhere else, and so that's also great. But sometimes we can get a little overwhelmed. You know, you go to Pinterest and 3 hours later or an hour later, you're still on Pinterest and you haven't stamped anything. So if you take it back to basics, take your catalog. Some of you probably have a hard copy of the catalog, and you take that catalog and you look through it and you look for ideas that you can try. You know, you don't necessarily need every stamp set in the catalog to create a bunch of different looking cards. You just need some different layouts. So it's a great thing to do. But what we do this Casing Tuesday group is everyone works on the same card, and I love that because now when I go to the Casing Tuesday group, I have this morning there were when I posted my card, I was the fourth one. Everyone had used a different stamp set. So isn't that interesting how we can take a card and everyone uses a different set and we have a whole bunch of variation. So that's the cool thing. And if you're new, if you're just catching me and you have no idea what I'm talking about, have a look at the description. You can click on the Casing Tuesday Facebook group link, and you can go in there and have a look at the group. And then you can join our group if you want to comment or if you want to post your own photos. So it's kind of neat that we have that ability to interact, and you can see what I've done, you can see what everyone else has done. So I love that. So what else is going on in my life? Oh, well, yesterday, my husband and I, we celebrated our 24th wedding anniversary. So I thought that was kind of cool. And it's funny, like we are, my husband brought home dinner, and we are, I love my husband, but we always have like issues with time. So it's funny how even yesterday we had issues with time, and but after 24 years of marriage, we kind of just like laugh at it because we're just like, I'm just always going to be early, and my husband's always going to be on the later side. Not that he was late yesterday on purpose. It's just like miscommunications about time happen all the time at my place, and it's nice that we can still get along and get through that. And I think we'll need another 24 years to have it all perfectly worked out, so I think I'm going to stick with him for a little while longer. But anyway, that's a fun thing that happened this week. So anyway, I digress. Let me get into what we're doing today, Casing Tuesday. I'm going to flip the camera around and show you the card of the week and what I've done, and then I'm going to show you how to stamp it. I'm using the masking technique today, and some people tell me I just never can get that technique right. So I'm going to take a little time and show you how I can successfully mask my card, and hopefully that will help you out too. So let me do a little flipperoo here. There's my gorgeous, beautiful view this morning. And we're starting off with a light blue sky. It just looks gorgeous, gorgeous out there. I hope, I think I need to walk to the post office later today. So I will get out into the beautiful weather. Let me adjust this a little bit here. Okay, so here is the card of the week. There's some envelopes behind it, so you just have to look for the pink background of the card, and it's got a couple of layers. It's got some designer series paper. This was actually my choice for a card. It is a little bit busier than I probably would normally choose, but I liked it. Was kind of a different layout to me. And there's a crooked layer. Yes, the crooked layer. We're going to have to figure out how to control that crooked layer. So anyway, that's the card. And this is my card that I came up with. This week I am featuring the Time for Tea bundle, or the Tea Room Suite, I think it's called, on my blog. So I was like, okay, let's see if I can fit that into this challenge. And I think I did a pretty good job. I had to stamp the teacup twice though, because this is a big area for just one stamp. And I moved the greeting from down here up to here too, to kind of fill that space a little bit. So I had to be a little bit creative with my layout, but it allowed me to do the masking technique, which is kind of, I like to do masking. So, and it doesn't have to be hard. So this is how I laid it out. So the Time for Tea bundle, I did a video on my Facebook Live yesterday, and it's also now on my blog, but I'm not going to go into too much of the details of this. If you want to know all about this bundle, the suite, please watch that video, because it's I go into a lot more detail. But this is the bundle, and just want to remind you, if you purchase these two items together, you get 10% off, which is a great deal always to do the bundle if you want both of them. Okay, so to start off with this card, we'll take the Big Shot. We're going to need this Big Shot here. We are going to need the framelits, and we're going to cut two things with it. We're going to need this little edgelet here, okay? And I tried to make this little edgelet longer the other day, and it didn't do so well. I didn't get good results from it. So the best thing that I know to do so far with this little guy is to cut a piece of cardstock that is 2 3/4 inches wide. It doesn't matter how long it is. You can make it however long you want. This one, I just grabbed a scrap piece and I cut it to 2 3/4 inches. So I've got my magnetic platform here. It makes it a little easier to work with the edgelet. I just want to line it up with the edge. So the middle bump is going to touch the edge, and the other two that are on, this is shifting here because it's not a completely flat plate, but you can see here there's, yeah. Okay, let me move that up. Okay, so you can see there's a little bit of room underneath. It's shifted again. There's a little bit of room under those two outer bumps, but that bottom bump should be right on the line. Let me fix this while I do it on here so it doesn't shift. Let me find a flatter spot, and a spot where my magnet is not fighting with me, and make sure that looks straight. So then when I come along, I take my plate and I clamp it down. I kind of keep my thumb on here so it doesn't shift again. And I keep pressure on there until the Big Shot can grab it and run it through. And that way I don't have to worry about the edgelets spinning around. Edgelets are a little bit harder to keep straight just because they're in a line and they tend to want to spin around a little bit. But isn't that pretty? That's such a nice little edge. So let me put this aside. And then the other thing I need to do, this is for my masking, is I'm going to use a Post-it note. And because we have a framelit, I'm going to use the framelit to create the mask. This is for the teacup. If you don't have a framelit to create a mask with, then you just stamp the image and cut it out. But because we have a framelit, I'm not even going to need to stamp that image at all. So someone turned me on to super sticky Post-it notes. I can't remember the name of the demonstrator, but she said that she used super sticky Post-it notes for masking, and I thought, that's great. I've always used Post-it notes for masking, but what is the difference between regular Post-it notes and super sticky Post-it notes? What I can tell from these Post-it notes is that they have a little bit wider strip of adhesive. I don't think they're any stickier in terms of like they're going to stick harder to your card. They just have a bigger band of adhesive, which is great when you're masking because sometimes that little skinny piece up at the top isn't enough. So what I'm going to do is just going to peel off one of my Post-it notes, and then I'm going to grab the teacup and I'm going to put it right near the top because I want as much adhesive as possible near the top where the stickiness is, and then I'm just going to run this through. Okay, so that's the outer piece that I don't need, and now I just need to peel off this inner piece and see even the little, there's a little piece of Post-it note that got cut. That's the inner part of the handle. So let me just tack that aside. This aside. Now we need to stamp the card. So I'm going to need a piece of Whisper White cardstock. I am using thick Whisper White. You could also use the regular Whisper White, but I decided to use thick this time. This piece is 3 3/4 inches by 3 inches. And we're going to start with the teacup, and we're going to use a new ink pad. It's not a new color, but it's a new ink pad. This is basic gray, and you're probably like, why do I need another basic gray ink pad? Why do I need the new one? Well, this one is no longer archival ink. You can use this to watercolor. We've changed our basic gray, which was a permanent ink, to it's now a watercolor ink. So I had to get it because it's a new ink color I can use, and yay, it stamps so well. So you're just going to open it up right at like a compact, okay, like that. And then to slide this thing down, I always put it on my surface and I just slide it down like that. And so that is my stamp. So now I need to ink this up, and where's my sample so I can see what quadrant. I'm going to stamp it about 1/2 inch from the bottom and 1/2 inch from the right hand side. Okay, so now here's where the mask comes in. You're always stamping what you want in the front first, and then everything else gets masked behind. So I'm going to take this Post-it note. Now when I'm covering this image, I'm keeping in mind that I'm going to be stamping over here. So I'm not going to cover this completely because if I do that, there's going to be a gap. I'm going to come in and I'm going to leave just, let's see if I can get this. I'll leave just the edge of my teacup. Can you see? I can still see the line because I'm going to be stamping here. Okay, if I was stamping down here at the bottom, this wouldn't work so well because you need to be able to see the line in order for your mask to work well. Post-it note works well because it's nice and thin. If you're using something thicker than a Post-it note, that might cause you to need a little bit more of a shifting downwards. But keep those in mind, super sticky Post-it notes, and you need to see the line. So now I'm going to ink this up again, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to stamp my second teacup right about there. Nice firm pressure. Now let's see how well this did. Let me peel off this mask. And look how nicely that is masked. You've got the line of the teacup coming right to the edge because I left that little bit of a gap So that worked out really nicely. Now, I have one more thing, one little more tricky thing I did with this particular greeting. This greeting actually has more words on it. It says, warmed with love and steeped in friendship. Well, this was too big for the space that I needed, but I liked the steeped in friendship part. So guess what? I got out my scissors and I cut the greeting. Yes, I cut it in half. There was enough room so that I cut the greeting, and now it is 2 greetings, but you can put them back together again and stamp them together. But for my purpose for today, now I don't have to worry about getting this, you know, only inking up half the stamp. I've got just this part of the stamp that I need. And so I'm just going to ink this up over here, steeped in friendship, and then I can stamp this up near the top part of my card. So isn't that kind of cool? Masking and then cutting apart stamps. I am doing well this morning. All right, so then I'm going to take Stampin' Blends to color my teacup. I like to start with the lighter color, and I think with this one I actually just did the lighter color, but let me have a look before I commit to what I'm saying. I think I went over it with no, wait a minute, with the pool party. I think I did both, and I think it was with the Daffodil Delight I just did one color, because the darker of the Daffodil Delight is quite a bit darker, and I thought it was too dark. I love the Stampin' Blends. They're just kind of easy peasy. I know that they're going to match the colors that I already have. Then I'm going to come in with my darker color, and I'm going to hit the edges of my teacup, and where there's lines, and come in here, hit these darker lines, and then come down here and shade right here, maybe a little bit at the bottom of the teacup, and that's how I colored that one. I kept it fairly simple. Then I'm going to take my Daffodil Delight, come in and color this. And if you're thinking, oh, I can't get those Stampin' Blends right now, you can. The new colors are not available yet, like the new colors that are in the catalog that we haven't had before. They will be available in about, I'm trying to think, today is the 12th. I think they will be available in about 2 weeks. Stampin' Up! Said that they will let us know when they're available, so it was sometime past the middle of the month. So with this one, the Daffodil Delight, let me have a scrap piece of paper. Here's a scrap. So here's my light Daffodil Delight, and here's my dark. It's sometimes nice to kind of test out your colors. I found that this a little bit too dark compared to the dark of my Pool Party. Pool Party is also a lighter color. So I decided instead of introducing the darker shade, I would just go in and, oh, I got the wrong side. I like to use the brush side. So I'm just going to come in and go over the lines with my lighter shade and just introduce some highlighting just by increasing the intensity with my lighter one, because I didn't want to go super dark. I wanted it to be kind of subtle. I guess I wanted it to have the same intensity as my Pool Party. If I had introduced the dark, the yellow would have kind of been darker, and I just wanted it to kind of be chill and mellow. So that is what I did. So now I just need to assemble the card. So let me grab all the pieces and tell you what the sizes are. So my card base, I did a 10th fold, It's half a sheet of 8.5 by 11. So this is 11 inches by 4¼ inches, and then I scored it in half at the 5.5 inch mark. I need a piece of Bermuda Bay cardstock. This one is 4 inches by 3 1/8 inches. That's going to go behind there. And then I have a piece of the Tea Room Specialty Designer Series paper, and this one is 4¼ inches by 2.5 inches. This paper, I mentioned this yesterday, is lighter than our typical designer series paper. It's a great weight for envelopes, for envelope liners. It's also great for putting on cards. It's probably not a paper that you're going to want to make your 3D projects out of. It is a little bit too light, unless you're going to do origami, in which case it is the perfect weight for origami. I gave you the measurements of those. So let's start by adding the designer series paper. And because it's a lighter paper, I'm a little reluctant to use Tombow on it because I really don't want it to wrinkle up. So I'm going to use some snail on the background. This is the one side of the paper, and here's the other. Isn't that pretty? But I wanted the kind of mellower blue side for my paper. And I'm just going to put snail on the 4 corners. And I want to put this probably about 1 inch from the bottom. Like that. Then for this one, we're going to do the crooked layer again. Okay, so before you put on a crooked layer, decide how you're going to put the layer on crooked, unless you really don't care. So I'm going to, again, make sure this white layer is a little bit smaller than my Bermuda Bay layer. So I'm going to attach it such that the top and the bottom corners on opposite sides touch the Bermuda Bay. So that's how I'm going to place this so that it's crooked, but it's still controlled. The controlled crookedness, because, you know, I have to be in control. I can't just randomly put something down crooked. That wouldn't be me, right? Okay. So adding that to the front. So it's crooked, but it's still controlled. Yay. All right, so let me, oh, before I put this on here, I need to add this little piece underneath here. Okay, so I just need to decide how far down I want that. I'll put a bit of Tombow. Come on. This bottle's almost empty. I want to use it up. Come on, come on. There we go. All right. So let me just add this right underneath. I'm making it straight to my Bermuda Bay layer, just in case you're wondering how I'm dealing with the crooked issue. And then I'm going to put Tombow on the back of this. Oh, okay, I hope it doesn't. Oh, good. There, it actually worked for me. So then I'm going to put this about 1/2 inch from the top. The Bermuda Bay layer is maybe not quite 1/2 inch. I think I put down this piece down here a little bit lower than I did on my first card, so it's probably about more like 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so now we just need to add the ribbon. I think the ribbon really makes this card a whole lot better. This is the ribbon that matches, oops, the ribbon that matches that suite. So this is called the Tea Room ribbon. Let me grab this. And I just want to say a big hello to everyone who's joining me. I want to acknowledge you, but I'm not going to acknowledge you by name because sometimes that's very distracting. So I just want to kind of say hello. And I will go back in and read all of your comments in a moment and make sure there's no questions or anything. So the way I figure out how much ribbon I need, I just kind of wrap it around and I give myself just a little bit extra for tying purposes. And then, just hold on. You know me, I love to use locking tweezers. All right, so let me wrap this around one more time. Going around. To tug a little bit on this side. I can always adjust the knot afterwards, but I kind of want it almost in the right spot. Okay, so now I know I can tie my knot right here, and I want to make sure it's not twisted or anything. So I've got my knot, my first knot down. I'm going to take my locking tweezers and pin that knot. Then I can tighten it a bit again. I come around and do my second knot. Tug, tug. All right. Give it one more tug. And then I can come in with my scissors and just trim off the ends. Maybe a little bit more side. Okay, get rid of my ribbon debris. Okay, so there's the card. Not too bad for Stamping Live. It only turned out just a wee bit different than this card. I think this piece is a little bit lower, but I still like the overall look. So I love that we did masking today, because I think that sometimes people have trouble with that technique. They're like, I covered it and it just didn't work. So if you joined me late, make sure you go back and have a look at that, because masking can be a really cool technique, but if you do it wrong, then you're just kind of frustrated. So, oh, I see a question right away that I can answer. Renee asked me, where did you get your locking tweezers? Never heard of those. Okay, so locking tweezers, you can get them at the beading section of a craft store. Where did I stick mine? Ah, here they are. So mine came in a set of 4 different tweezers. I can't remember what I paid for them, but it was probably less than $10. Probably not a whole lot more than $10, somewhere around there. And you get 4 tweezers, and this little guy, when you press on it, it opens, and when you let it go, it locks. So that's what the main one that you want. If you can buy it individually, that's great too. Locking tweezers, I don't know if they have another name, but most craft stores, if they have a beading section, will have a set of tweezers, and that's where I got mine. So they're just great for holding down that knot and tying. I cannot tell you how much time this has saved me and how nicely my knots turn out by using them. Stampin' Up! A long time ago carried locking tweezers in the crafter's toolkit as well. So if you have that old kit, this is what they will look like. I still have those ones as well. I like both of them. This one it has kind of a little bit more of a pointy tip, but if you have the old crafter's toolkit, you might still have locking tweezers. So those are very cool. Oh, and how did I make the pretty lace edge? Well, if you look earlier on the video, it's an edgelet. Where did I throw it? It's this little edgelet that comes with the Time for Tea bundle. And I cut that piece to 2 3/4 inches, and I just laid it on the edge, and so that creates that little thing. I like how I've only used 1 stamp set on here, so you know all the pieces and stuff all come from the same suite. So it's nice that you have all of those pieces that you can use, and you don't need another stamp set to create it. So I'm featuring this bundle all week on my blog, so that you know I'll show you you can do a lot of different things with it. I wanted to show you one more thing. This is kind of a bonus card that I created. Let me hold it up to the camera. Now, I used to do a lot of 1-layer note cards, and I haven't been getting to them as much lately on my blog, but this is an easy card that I did using our note cards. And basically, I just stamped the image down here, the greeting up here, and I tied it with the other half of that ribbon. The tea room ribbon comes with 2 colors. And this one is Coastal Cabana and copper, and the other one is very vanilla and copper. So you have two choices. So I used the, on this one I used the Coastal Cabana color. After I colored this, notice I kind of used the same colors. So, you know, I want to show that you can use the same products and create a different card. I did hit this with Wink of Stella. So this one, I don't know if I can get it. Oh, there you can maybe see the shimmer a little bit. But because this is such a simple card, I thought, hey, I'm going to shimmer up my teacup a little bit and make it look a little prettier. But this is just a quick little note card that you can stamp relatively quickly and give to someone. You filled my cup with happiness. Isn't that cute? So you can do a more complicated card with the framelets, but this one just uses the stamp set. So it's kind of another option you can do, and they coordinate all together. So, okay, let me go back and look if there's any questions from the beginning. So just bear with me, and then I'm going to sit down. Okay, let's see. Welcome to everyone, and thank you for wishing me happy anniversary. It was kind of fun to hit number 24. Okay, I've got the tweezer questions. Okay. Okay, so Renee's gonna dig out her tweezers. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a tip that we had way back in the day when we had that crafter's toolkit. I have kept it up, and I loved those tweezers so much that I actually got that second set to have on hand because it's great for your crafters. I know it's a non-Stampin' Up! Product, but it is just a little tool that will make their ribbon tying a little easier, you know, to wrap it around, to have that. It's way better than a finger, you know. If you're wrapping gifts and you're tying ribbon around your gifts, I'll tell you at Christmas time, it's also like, I use that as well. So it's not just for your card making, it's for like gift wrapping or anything else that you're doing where you have to tie something around something. So that's kind of cool. So anyway, that's Casing Tuesday for today. You can join our Facebook group. Look for the link in the description. Anything that I used today, I have a blog post for. It's on my blog already. I haven't sent it out, my email through my feed yet because I'm going to add the video first so more people get to see it. But I already have my blog post up, and it has a supply list. You can click on that and it will give you more information about all the different products. And I hope you'll stay tuned for later this week because I've got more projects coming up with the tea room bundle and all the things that go with it. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you next week at 10 a.m. on Tuesday. All right, guys. Bye-bye.